Hey everyone, today we're talking about Zillow and other real estate websites, what to know about them and how they work, and let's get started right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Living in Maryland channel where we talk about all things living here in the great state of Maryland. So if that's the kind of information you're looking for, you are definitely in the right spot. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can be made aware of the new videos that we do each and every week. And if you are considering making a move here to Maryland, if you're considering whether purchasing a home is the right move for you and your family, we absolutely love helping and answering any questions that we can. However you feel comfortable reaching out, whether that's by phone call, text messages, or emailing, feel free to reach out anytime, days, nights, and weekends. We've got your back when moving here to the great state of Maryland. So just figured I would do a quick video on how these real estate websites work, whether it's Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, whatever one you're using, because this is a common question that I get from buyers and consumers in general, just on how they work and what to expect from them. So, and often too, people are asking, is one better than the other and all that kind of stuff. So first off, I'll start with that. So is one better than the other? Do certain websites have homes that others don't? And the answer that I tell people is no. In my experience, that's not the case at all. So the way that they work is there's a data exchange through what's called an IDX, where all these websites are able to pull the data from the realtor multiple listing services. So they get permission from our MLS to be able to pull that data. So everything that we are listing, all the inventory that we have on the market is going to syndicate through those websites. Now, the one thing that they are not going to have is going to be what's called coming soon listings. So this is where getting with a local realtor can be beneficial to the consumer if you want to be able to see homes that are not yet on the market but are coming on the market very soon. So this is something that they're just not going to have. But everything else, everything that's active on the market, everything that's under contract on the market, you're going to be able to see. So this is a great way for the consumer to get out there and start seeing what the inventory is like, what the price point's like, what you can get for what you're willing to spend, and it's definitely a great resource in order to do that. You're just not going to be able to see those coming soon homes until they hit the market, and that's not the end of the world. A lot of these coming soon properties too, your photography and that kind of stuff is not coming until a day or so before it hits the market. So that's just kind of the one difference that I like to tell people. If you definitely want to see those coming soon properties, you're going to want to talk to a realtor so you can have access to that through the MLS. So when someone asks, is there one better? I always say, not really. It comes down to user preference. So I know, my wife, we're not looking to make a move, but she's still always looking at homes, and she loves Realtor.com. She just loves the way that the website looks and the ease of it. So that's just kind of an example of how that works. So really, user preference, which one do you prefer? Because they're really all going to have the same home. So that's kind of what I like to tell people when I get that question. And then also when it comes to these websites, some other things that I like to tell people is just kind of how they work and set certain expectations, just so that there's no surprises there. So this is a great resource for people to start looking at homes, start getting an idea of what's out there at certain price points without having to start that conversation with a realtor yet if you're not really comfortable for that or just not at that stage yet. So it's just a great resource for that. But you definitely want to know what to expect and how they work. So the way that they make money and the way that they operate is that they want you to inquire so that they can basically connect you with whether it be a lender or a realtor. So and then once you do make an inquiry, submit your contact information. I like to prepare people you're going to get multiple calls, you're going to get emails, and people are going to start reaching out fairly consistently and pretty quickly too. So in the past I've worked with some of these websites, and the name of the game is quit. You got to call right away, or else you're not going to make contact with that person, and then it's going to be kind of a wasted opportunity. So from a realtor standpoint, you can just know that that's kind of what the expectation is. So as soon as you hit that submit button with your information, you're going to get calls, texts, emails, and they're going to start coming in quickly. So just have that expectation. If you're okay with that, that's totally cool. If you want to avoid that kind of situation of multiple people, and a lot of times they're sending it out to multiple agents. So they're selling off the information and connecting you with local realtors so that hopefully that realtor can can connect and make a sale there. So that's how they work, and you would just expect that quick communication from them, because that's how the whole system is set up. And oftentimes when you hit that submit button, it's going to 2 or 3 realtors. So it's kind of a, it's off to the races for them. So now certain websites too, depending on how they're set up, zip codes and all this kind of stuff, they may offer exclusivity to agents. So where it costs more for that agent, but then they're not having to compete with other agents. So there's different ways that can go down, but oftentimes it's going to multiple agents. So you just want to be prepared for that phone to go off right away. If you want to avoid that kind of communication from people or people having your information, then you just want to make sure that you don't inquire, and that you just, whenever you're ready, at that point you reach out to someone, right? So that's kind of how you can avoid that, is just not making an inquiry if you don't want to get bombarded with calls, texts, and emails. And then also quickly, just wanted to mention, since a lot of times when people ask me about this, they also ask me about open houses, how do they work in Maryland? So I figured I would just speak to that really quickly to you guys as well. So in Maryland, we have what's called agency law, that I think it went into place early 2000s. So the state of Maryland stepped in and said, look, as a realtor, you cannot represent both parties. It's not fair. We want the buyer to have representation, given how large a real estate transaction can be, right? So in the state of Maryland, if you see an open house, if there's a realtor working there, that realtor works for and represents the seller's best interest. So you just want to be prepared for that if you're a buyer walking into a property. So I just like to prepare people for that. So that person, if you start speaking about your circumstance or you start saying certain things, that information is going to be passed along to the seller. So I tell people, feel free to go into open houses. It's a great way to get in there, get boots in the ground, and start looking at homes and kind of getting a feel for what may be a good fit for you. But if you have interest in a property, you want to reach out to your own realtor so that you have representation. You have someone in your corner looking out for your best interests within that transaction. So that's just what I like to tell people, just so, because sometimes people get confused. They walk in and they don't understand, they don't know who they're talking to. So that's just kind of how the system is set up in Maryland. I know not all states are that way or have that kind of law put into effect. I know when we bought a cabin in West Virginia, we only owned it for a couple years, but out there they didn't have that kind of law. So I actually signed a document that said the realtor was representing the seller and me. So every state can be different when it comes to this kind of thing, but Maryland is that way. So you cannot legally represent both parties. So if you don't have a realtor in Maryland and you're buying a home through the seller's realtor, then you're just unrepresented in that transaction, which is okay too. Or you can hire your own realtor and kind of go that route. And in Maryland, the seller's going to offer some sort of compensation to realtors. So I don't ever charge a buyer anything additional, although that can vary from realtor to realtor. So that's something that you want to look into. But that's kind of how our system is set up here in Maryland. So that's what you can expect if you're walking through the doors into an open house. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you ever have any questions or need anything at all, please feel free to reach out, and we will see you at the next video.